We can talk about, I think it's so easy to get caught up in some of the really exciting moments and translate that into faster tempo, where actually you can sometimes embrace that a really strongly held tempo in some of these moments actually makes it much more exciting. So we're going to look at that. But from the opening, actually in the opening, where I wanted sometimes more strict tempo later in the piece, in the opening I felt you were too strict. I could hear you counting. So I think, not actually, but through how you were playing. So I missed, like, just the falling of that phrase and how that might suspend a little bit. Oh, sorry, don't play this music. So for instance, the falling of the phrase, but also how it's 2 quarter notes and then it's 8th quarter. And how you can kind of distinguish those but not feel trapped by the rhythm. Because you have this as, you know, you got to state this at the beginning of the second movement, but now this is your last chance. So I think it take a little time to enjoy it. And trust that you've done the counting, you have great rhythm in this opening line, so just trust it and play with it. So yeah, let's try it, the opening. Good, already better, but I think the F could suspend a little bit more. And actually, it is an 8th note, so could go to the F maybe a little sooner, and the F is the one that has the tenuto. So okay, try that. Yes, there you actually is really importantly significant that the second measure is quarter note, and then in the 4th measure we have so definitely resolve that to the F a little faster. And that will also give us a more beautiful and even alto and tenor voice. So because your B flat was long, the second beat was delayed. So rhythm is actually important, of course, but we're going for a little more freedom too. So maybe pick up to the 3rd measure. I want to look at this. That's excellent. Okay, so actually I think it's the next measure I want to look at. Okay, so did you feel your position when you did this? You were somewhat high and aiming down, and staying very close. Can you do the same? Much more focused sound. So before, not only I think were you bouncing too high, but there was also a flap in the air this way. And it's, if you just focus it from back here, just like now let's go for the double bar. Through these 2 measures just a little bit. This is the first example where I think it's really exciting if this just holds. And you do all your build with sound, not with tempo. Okay? Try that. From the... Exactly. And the first time you played it through, I almost didn't hear, because I think you just didn't set yourself up well. You were already rushing a little bit, and they were not as focused. So I heard so much better the pickups this time. They're really important. Da-dee, da-dee, da-da. They're very vocal. Okay? Good. One more time. So I know you had a little memory slip this time, but also the second time these triplets came, they definitely rushed. So this is another thing. They're super, super exciting if you can just do all your build with sound and color and not with tempo. So try, and also just remember that they're laid out that way, but the beat is actually... So the beat that you want to communicate is in the middle of your gesture. So just be aware of that. Don't accent it or anything, but... Okay, can you try that? Because he writes marcato, we just really have to hold it. So dum bum bim bum 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 dum da yum bum bum. Pretty unwielding, just really, really strongly held. Can you try that? Now here I hear a little quality of sound issue. I think you could throw your arm forward a little more. So this time it looked too much straight down. That's better. It automatically rounds out the sound because we're just throwing natural arm weight into it. Whereas this is cutting off our arm weight. We're not using our arm actually. Our arm is locked. So. It's forte, but obviously there's sort of a character color change. Can you release the voice a little more to your top? So it's not as full of a forte as we have in the beginning. So just still a full sound, nice full sound, but voice to your top more. It's not a staccato note, he writes a tenuto, it's a full quarter note, so a little more vocal, I think. Those are staccato, obviously, yeah, which you do very well, yeah. So sing those final notes a little bit more. Try that. tempo just holds. So just trust that. I think that giving each note its time to really sing, rather than feeling, we often feel when we want to make a long phrase like we have to move it. But I think in this case, sometimes that is the case. But in this case, I think you can just keep it simple. Nice, full, warm sound, and just in tempo. Not like a metronome, obviously, but like in tempo. Okay, try one more time. It was not so completely steady, but not pushed. Yeah, that was great. Continue now. You start to go too much to the bottom of the key and also to below the key bed with your wrist, which you never want to do. Always want to start from a nice, healthy place with space open underneath your palm so you can sink if you want. Starting with the D. Exactly, yes. Now add to that the few chords that you really want to be the most, throw your arm forward more. Excellent. So let's just do that in the large context and do the second theme one more time. So if we're build up more to the C. And I do want to back up two more measures because I think that seemed a little extreme because he does just right mezzo forte. So think bloom, that it's just blooming. It's not aggressive. Maybe that's too little. So maybe the second phrase of the also have a better character. I think in this context of this piece, if we really do because it's not that compact characteristic Rachmaninoff rhythm that's a little bit more compact in other settings. I think this is da-da-da, not ba-ba-ba. Da-da-da, da-da-da. So yes, in tempo, but also just super even and really strongly held. Yeah, exactly. So do the build-up now. Your tempo is really good, but even in the context of your tempo, your pickups to these are almost 16ths. So really like sing through those. Da-dee, da-dee, da-da. Okay, go from yeah, that's fine. Yeah. Too much, so I'm losing the clarity. That's another thing, the clarity of all these notes being super, super clear adds to the excitement. If we can hear all those notes, it's going to sound exponentially faster than if you just play fast. There's so much activity that you can send into the air to create that excitement if it's all clear, really, really clear. Okay. Also with these, to a certain extent, when you arrive at the loudest chord of each, da-ti, da-ti, da-da, I think you hold in terms of continuing to push with your hand too much. So really, yeah. The sound is going to release. You don't have to pick up your hand. You don't have to let go of the notes. But feel everything release in your muscles. To make it Yep. So the more you leave the keys, the less control, actually. Okay. Yes. Yep. Yeah, exactly. And also the slight electricity always comes to mind, electric impulse or slight bounce of our entire mechanism that we feel every time we do that helps to keep our rhythm, because that's what eurythmics is all based on, is bodily involvement in making rhythm. Tita, 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 tita. But if it's too random and your palm is just bouncing, then it's harder to think, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But if there's more total involvement of your mechanism, then it really holds your tempo and just keeps you in a pulse better. Okay? One more time. singing qualities. So I think, in this case, can you think almost that you're attacking slower? Really a real thing. It might just be mental, but think just that you're not getting to the bottom of the key quite as fast. It's more cushioned. Yeah. Even from back here, though. It can be nice and loud, but not as fast of an attack. But the quarter notes are not written staccato. So I would still have a slight amount of pedal, so it's dee-da, 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 and not da-da, dee-da, okay? So now, let's start the presto, because we're almost out of time. Always be aware of where the second bar is. And just have that be an arrival point in your brain. And that's where the shape goes. But to be really aware of how it sounds harmonically, where it looks on the keyboard, so you can watch with your eyes. So coming from here to here, so you can gauge rhythmically. Because I definitely lost a sense of pulse and bar line while you did this, because it just got so, you got caught up in the excitement, okay? So, plenty fast, but just be always aware of where that second bar is. 1, 2, 1, 2, okay? So, what it is the second bar always arrives early. So you rush through the first bar. Of compacting some of those so they become just one chord. So just rework that. So there's always, again, that very vocal eighth note pickup. Da-dee-da-da-da-da-da-da. Just like da-dee-da-dee-da-dum, da-dee-da-da-da-da. Same thing in a faster context. And then I think I'm missing some of your left hand notes in.